A man with stank in the tank, especially after that Super Bowl 7-layer dip. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. A mandate, you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
Holy shit, am I still coming?
Oh, the disc is in.
What?
Yes.
Why are we doing a show?
I know. I walked in and Bobby Hollander's porn bloopers and foul-ups was in.
Oh my
I
God.
wouldn't mind
porn bumps
getting my
right
paws
now.
on that. Chris, the big screens are down, sort of. All right. So it's in my hands.
Oh my
right
God.
now.
It's still shrink wrapped.
Bobby.
It's going to blow your balls off.
Hilarious. Real on-set mishaps.
Oh, boy.
Bobby Hollander's X-rated bloopers. Shauna Grant's in this. Sharon
It's going to
Mitchell.
blow your balls off.
Jonas Storm.
Ooh.
Jonas Storm.
It's going to blow your balls off.
And Ron Jeremy.
Holy how's your dick doing? Hard?
Extremely hot, yet extremely funny, so
Oh.
it says. So we got Bobby Hollander.
Are there reviews on the back from like Ebert and Roper?
Oh, yeah. 2 thumbs in.
Oh, still did,
Oh, yeah.
still didn't make this
did,
one?
They did porn. They went in.
Oh my
On
Two
the,
thumbs are way up.
All right, let's see. So we'll talk Super Bowl tomorrow because we're taping this in advance of the Super Bowl. Saw a commercial. Saw it late night up watching the original Sex and the City reruns.
Ooh.
And this commercial popped up, and it's for a product called Lume or Lumi. And
Oh yeah, you guys don't get these targeted ads on Instagram.
well, here's the deal,
Rarely.
people. I can watch sports and UFC highlights all day long, and all I'm going to get is a bunch of Dodge Ram commercials.
Erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, maybe a little erectile dysfunction and some Budweiser. But you got to go on. You got to get into their camp. You
Yeah.
got to go. You got to watch
That's right.
reruns of Sex and the City on whatever at the wee hours of night to see the real commercial.
That's right.
What's going on? What they're talking about. So this is. We'll play the spots. A woman talking to the camera.
Why isn't there deodorant for privates? Now there is with Lumi, the only natural deodorant you can safely use on your private parts. Because Lumi conquers all body odor, not just your private drive. You can use it on pits, feet, or any other stinky crevice. Just take a pea-sized amount
All
and apply
right.
it like
They're in a yoga class.
I
They're
need to see
sitting
more.
there and they just stand up. They sit and spread their legs and hold it up to their shoulders and make the ah sound all simultaneously, like a skunk would spray or something like
Like
that.
they're trying to force out a queef.
Right.
Oh, my.
That's
Well,
right.
I mean, if I'm painting the picture,
Yes. So there. By the way, a lot of the vag stuff ends up at yoga class.
It really does. I think that's why, because you can display the legs akimbo.
It's funny. Every deodorant commercial I ever saw growing up was on the subway.
Yeah, raise your
Guy had the hand. He's hooked up.
Yep.
Super hot chick sidles up
Yep.
under his pit. But it's always yoga class
Yes.
for the snatch. Bobby Hollander probably has some choice words about this. He could have used the shit out of this product if it'd been around back in the day. Kaylin says there's another one where the chick goes to the gyno.
It's going to blow your balls off.
Let me ask you this, Gina,
Yeah.
about the gyno.
Okay. It sucks.
Before I go to the dentist,
Yeah.
I always brush my teeth and floss. And what I'm asking is, is there some sort of equal preparation?
equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, I
There
didn't see that
is.
coming.
There is.
Brush and floss?
Yes. Wax and style. Mm-hmm. I mean,
Water pick.
it's nice to know that, like, you'd like to think your OBGYN, especially if she's female, isn't judging you. But, like, yeah, you want it pleasant for her.
Yeah, I mean, if you were getting a physical, you'd take a good shower.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
it's the same thing. I used to have a super hot, oh my God, super hot gynecologist in New York. And he was so hot that I don't even think it was like a law. He would make a nurse come in the room with him, and I asked one of the nurses why, and why he started doing
Cuckolding.
that because he and his wife were partners, and apparently the wife was getting concerned that chicks were hitting on him while he was working on them.
Wow.
So there had to be a third party
that's
being like, I'm not doing anything. He was really hot.
Wow.
Yeah, but in general, we have female gynecologists.
The move is
And
to
then-
bang the nurse.
And I had a different gynecologist, an old man named Dr. Kruger. Mm-hmm. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, Freddie.
Okay.
This is another one. Starts off at the in between the legs.
Yep.
POV of the person in the stirrups, and
This is Dan Dunn's POV porn.
we'll just play it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, founder and CEO of Lumi, the aluminum-free deodorant for everyone's everything. So why am I hanging out between these stirrups? This is where Lumi was born. Lumi is the
Pulled
world's
it out of her
first.
snatch. All right. Well, we've entered a new world of advertisement.
Yeah.
Oh no! Is she saying she saw so many stinky vaginas that she had to invent this?
Well, look.
That's just saying.
If it once in a while they'll have one of those products that you pour down the drain that is good for cleaning your
Yeah.
septic tank.
Yeah.
It's always a plumber. You know what I mean? Like, I've cleaned out too many septic tanks. Not to equate, but
I mean,
what
it is plumbing.
you do go, well, he has seen this before, and that's why he invented this product.
Now I'm self-conscious.
It's going to blow your balls off.
Anyway, I guess it's the Wild West. Maybe I was watching in the Safe Harbor. I don't know how
Yeah.
it works anymore.
I've only seen it online.
I know there's a vetting for Super Bowl commercials, for sure.
Yeah.
And there's a vetting for license plates, you
Yeah.
know, custom stuff, vanity plates. You must have to vet commercials with some government entity.
Yeah.
Must go, well, you can't show
Well,
the
naked
FCC.
boobs,
Yeah.
you know.
Standards and practices, right? Each network has their own, and they're
Right.
sort of bound by their own internal laws, guidelines,
Yeah.
I guess, right?
These days, I think it would be a bad look for a company to say, "Oh, that's inappropriate for women to put that on the air."
I kind of
Right,
agree.
but then the question is look, we know what the product is for, but I remember the days when the mom and the daughter were walking on the beach talking about having that not so fresh
feeling.
A little
feeling.
more discreet.
Yeah.
Right. So the question is once you get out the stirrups and the spread legs, like where do you stop? You know, or do you
The
stop?
close up.
All right. I got much more to talk about. Yes.
I'm sure we'll talk about this on our next show because we'll have seen the Super Bowl, of course, the ads. But every year, I have no doubt this will come up. Every year, it feels like there's some, I don't know a better word for it, so I'll just say a random ad where the ad is almost an anti-ad, like the puppy monkey baby is maybe an extreme example. But remember the dude in the field?
I was just gonna say that, like the oat milk guy.
Right, but like can you name the product?
I think it was an oat milk.
Okay.
Because that was the song.
My point is, I had these vague recollections of these commercials, but I could these things that are so crazy and
Yeah.
wild and anti, they never stick. You're
No.
like, the classic ad that I
Right.
can't get out of my head. Like, I have a vague recollection of being annoyed.
But I do feel like we're going to see more rogue commercials because
Nissan?
back in the day, yeah,
Non-official partner.
you had Budweiser and you had Ford and you had all that. But you didn't have 27-year-old Silicon Valley guys who sold their startup company that
Right.
they started in college for $2 billion, who, you know, you tell them, well, it's $8 million for a 30-second spot. That's chump change
Yeah.
to them. And they're just they're in go for it mode. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to shoot my own shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to vet this with the boardroom or,
Right.
or anything.
Or if you're a $100 million startup, that's got seed money,
Yep.
that's
Right.
money well spent.
That's a big departure from the majestic Clydesdales bowing to the Twin
Yes.
Towers.
Yes. All right. We got Chuck Frosty Freeze.
Oh, boy.
This is his full name. I'm guessing it's Chuck Freeze. He's a submariner, and he wants to come out and pull some balls out there in the early show on February 18th in Tacoma. Chuck,
Hey, Adam, how's it going?
good man. So you want to come out to Friday's show?
Yeah,
the early
absolutely.
show. Early show on Thursday is sold out. Still, that's Thursday show. That's sold out. The later show has some tickets left, and then Only Friday Late Show has tickets. So the 2 early shows are sold out. But submarine, I'm endlessly fascinated with submarines. I don't know what it is. First thing, I love aircraft and I love submarines. I don't like the middle.
Yeah,
I
not
don't like
interested
what's
in
going
terra
on
firma.
top. But because they both defy all laws.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're 32,000 feet, you're traveling at 600 miles an hour, and you got a drink in your hand.
You've conquered the sky and the sea.
Right. And the submarines, like when you talk about going under the polar caps and staying under indefinitely and creating your own oxygen, it's insane. So what kind of vessel were you on, Chuck?
So I've been on 3 different submarines in my career, or 3 different submarines, but the same type. I was on the SSBN, so the ballistic missile submarines. All the submarines I've been on have been out of Washington State, up here in Bangor, Washington.
Do you guys make better time on the surface or better time underwater if you were steaming somewhere?
Definitely better time submerged.
Really?
And my job, so I'm a sonar tech. I'm a sonar senior chief, and my job is basically the eyes of the submarine. When we're submerged and we're going wherever it is we're going, it's my guys and I that are keeping the boat safe and making sure, we don't hit things.
There's once you're submerged, there's no visual anything, right? It's all sonar. It's completely being guided.
And so our sonar system, the best way to describe what we're looking at is the matrix screens, right? That green waterfall. Mm-hmm. That's what sonar's looking at. And we're just looking for what we call a rise in background. So, we're looking at brighter traces and that's how we see what's out there.
Add this to my list, Chris, of things I want to do. I want to be in a sub. Mm-hmm. I want to have one earphone on, not the cans. Well, I'll have the cans. I'll have the one side on. Mm-hmm. I have a little drip of sweat coming from my nose, and I'll shush everybody.
So that's actually mandatory. So when we're sitting there with our headphones on, we have to have one ear off. Which is
I knew it.
It's yeah, and it's a little difficult for me. I'm deaf in my left ear, so when I'm sitting and I wear hearing aids now, but when I'm sitting, whether it be a stack or a different watch station where I've got the headphones on, I got to choose now. Do I want to listen to the people around me and put the one headphone on my left ear so I don't hear anyone on the phones? Or do I put the one headphone on my right ear where I can hear the phones, but then I don't hear anyone else around me? So I just try to stay off the phones at this point.
Just the guy you want working the sonar.
That's right. Yeah. Sitting next to him.
That's a running joke. It's a constant running joke. Me and my deafness.
Running into a glacier.
Got the blind guy next to him looking at the screen. Hitting him with a stick. His dog barks when there's danger.
So here's the good news. To set your minds at ease, I've been doing this for 19 plus years now. One, I'm never going back out on a submarine again. I've got my retirement date set. But 2, I'm at a position now where I'm not the guy sitting at the stacks listening to the contacts. I'm the guy behind them who is listening to those operators. So you're not really relying on my hearing to keep the boat safe.
The hero.
And you're not allowed to say how deep that thing will go, but can you?
That's true. We can say depths in excess of 400 feet. There's a lot of things that we have like canned answers that we're given, right?
Right.
So like I said, I'm on a submarine that the ballistic missile submarine, right? So we have canned answers to that, right? I'm on the submarine that has the ability to carry and launch nuclear missiles, but we neither confirm nor deny the existence of nuclear missiles. Stuff like that.
It's how fast when you're hustling, how fast can you go underwater?
That's another one of those that we can't really give you the exact number. Our flank speed, you'd probably be pretty surprised, especially based on the size of the submarines. The submarines I was on the second largest in the world. The only submarines larger, Russia has those. But ours are pretty darn large and go pretty fast. But we have fast boat, SSNs, the hunter killers, if you will, that are significantly faster than ours. But I can't remember exactly what my answer is supposed to be. We'll definitely say it's over 10, 12 knots.
I always look at it this way. I don't know why, but like, I think an aircraft carrier, which you can imagine how big that is, I think they can go 33, 34 knots or something like that, or 30 knots, which is, I don't know, 38 miles an hour or something like that. You know, if you ever been water skiing, they're pulling you at like 28 miles an hour there. Like you could water ski like a little jet ski boat, but you could do that behind an aircraft carrier, which I don't know why that visual. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could.
I've told the story where I've been on the USS Seattle on family day. My cousin was in the Navy. We went on a family day and got to tour the whole thing, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, the thing lurches and turns around. It starts to go. And I said to my cousin, I'm like, is this as fast as it goes? Or he's like, oh, we're hauling ass now. Like this super slow feel is like we're actually going pretty fast.
Oh, wow.
A lot of service in your family.
Yeah.
What happened, Brian?
Yeah.
You watch movies all day.
Really
you
skipped
don't really
generation.
give back.
You
The
literally
Seattle's an AOE. The Seattle's probably comparable to the speed of an aircraft carrier.
I was just about to say the same thing.
It's just the support ship of the AOE.
All right, so
I
Frosty.
see a lot of military movies.
Oh, that's true. Yes, you do
That's
your
true,
part.
yeah.
You support
Thank you for your service, Brian.
I can almost recite
fake-
Crimson Tide.
supports the fake military.
Stolen Valor.
I'll tell you, Brian. So if you, I'm sure you've seen the movie Crimson Tide.
Of course, many times.
You probably have never seen a more fake. Well, that new Hunter Killer movie was pretty darn fake too. But they really get submarine movies wrong.
I saw the entire,
if
whatever it was, 5-hour long Das Boot. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I figured that was
Oh, sure, of
sort of accurate to military or actually submarine life.
Here's the problem with that one is that's an old diesel boat. That's a long time ago. I mean, I'm sure it's somewhat accurate to the way it used to be. And my father, my grandfather, my whole family is submariners. And it's submariners, by the way, Adam, not submariners, but I digress.
Submariner.
But the way it was versus the way it is, stark difference. Like you can't get any further in contrast to how submarine life used to be, especially on one of them little diesel boats versus today's day and age, and everything else being politically correct and all that great happy horse shit. But I would tell you, life on a submarine and how people operate and act. You want the most accurate movie out there?
Please.
Down Periscope.
Oh, I was going to say that as a joke.
The way the sailors acted and operated on that one is the closest to reality as you'll find in a movie.
I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either, but it strikes me that it's going to attract a certain breed. Like there's certain things like guys who race motorcycles that have the side hack on them. Yep. And then there's a guy who's the monkey. He's the guy who's on the side hack, who's leaning and hanging his ass. That guy's got a certain kind of personality that doesn't live in a bubble. It attracts them.
It's called crazy as fuck. And you can't be a submariner if you're not at least a little crazy, but the vast majority of us are probably certifiable.
You get a bump. You get a pay bump, and it's like the food better, is the stuff better on the sub?
It is actually. So that's the big, a lot of people talk about how we get fed the best in the Navy and so on and so forth. It truly is, right? Every crew, every boat's going to be different based on the cooks you have on board. But for the most part, you got to think, right? Our boat, so I'm on the biggest boats, and we have roughly 150, 160 sailors on that boat. Our fast boats will have about 120, right? So our cooks have to make food for roughly a third of the crew for every meal. So you're talking making food for 50 guys, now guys and gals, but on subs. But on surface ships, those cooks are making food for significantly more amount of people. Right. So that's going to cut into the
quality.
The quality of the food that you're being served and that they're making.
All right, Submariner. We'll see you on the early show. That'll be
Looking forward to it.
Figure out
It's gonna
Friday.
be a blast. Adam, I've been listening to you since your first day on Kevin and Bean. I got from Southern California. I've been stationed up here since '04, but I've listened to you forever.
Is this Adam's dad?
I'm super excited.
Well, be prepared to be disappointed.
Hey, I met Michael, the maintenance man, at he came out to the mall in Riverside, where I'm from, and I met him at a on-site whatever, and I've been listening to KROQ since I was knee-high to a duck. So
you need to interview him for the duck.
I doubt I'll be disappointed. It's going to be fun.
Thanks, Chuck. Yeah, Michael, the maintenance man, of course, Jimmy Kimmel's partner in the boxing match.
The Bleed and Reseda.
When I met Jimmy, and probably a little kismet because Michael would get there in the morning, load up the van, and head out to the mall in Riverside. And then I showed up, and I was like kind of looking to train Michael, the maintenance man. He'd been there for like 3 years, and he's black. The other guy was there, Jimmy. Jimmy'd been there like 7 or 9 weeks or something. I went back and looked at it. He'd only been there a few months before I showed up, and he's Jimmy. So I was like, I hope I get Michael, the maintenance man. But he was gone, and Jimmy was left.
Stuck with Jimmy.
And I got stuck with Jimmy, and the rest is history.
When's the last time you heard somebody in earnest use the phrase "and all that happy horse shit"?
It's been a while.
I love this dude.
I love this dude, too.
Hey, 2 things real quick. One, fun fact, Crimson Tide has an uncredited rewrite by Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, that's where a lot of the Silver Surfer stuff comes in that has no place in the fucking movie. Denzel's trying to coach up the youngest bandit kid, like, hey, you're like the Silver Surfers. Like, no one, neither of these characters would ever say that. Anyway, other thing, it reminded me, when are we going to see this KROQ doc? I've been itching for too long.
Well,
I need a salve.
We started the KROQ doc. We've interviewed 50 of the biggest bands, and the Jimmy Kimmels and the Carson Dailies and the Jed the Fishes and all the names from back then. And we got into it, and then we found out. Then we went, all right, we had enough, and we went and pitched it around everywhere, and nobody wanted it. And it was funny. Everyone went. The documentaries are weird. Everyone goes, oh, I love KROQ. Oh, it's a great idea for a doc. And then they go, what's the story, though? And you go, and you guys will notice, I think, docs are starting to take storylines almost like they're written, like they're movies.
They have credited writers.
They used to, when I was growing up, a doc was just kind of a doc.
Nanook of the North.
It was just like, there's Jane Goodall, and there's her chimps, and here she is, you know, or at least I was naive, but that's what, now it's like, where's the arc? Where's the B story?
Where's it going?
Where's the conflict? Yeah. And it's like, it's one of the greatest stories ever. It's this crazy radio station that started as nothing with a bunch of drug addicts and stuff, and then grew into the biggest thing in the world, and everyone's like, but where's the arc and where's the whatever? And the one thing that always bugs me about this town is, like, I'm like, all right, you've seen the 3 docs we made that were really good. This is a subject that you like more, with arguably more to it than Willie T. Ribbs' story. There's just
sort of more sellable faces.
Yes, more. It's more commercial. Why don't you just trust us to go make the fucking doc? And it's like, peddled around, no interest. So we're like, all right, so we got to get it finished. So we got to raise money. So it turned out that the CrossFit guy that got booted out of his own company.
Oh.
He got canceled.
Yeah.
Oh, he was like CEO or something?
He invented CrossFit.
Okay, yeah.
And then he basically said, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. He got exiled from his own company, but he got a bunch of money and he just went home.
Yeah, they paid him out.
And we got him and Mark Garagos, and we got a couple guys.
Heavy hitters.
He grew up in the CrossFit guy grew up in the San Fernando Valley and loved KROQ. And Mark
Glassman.
Mark, I think it is. And Mark Garagos goes way back with KROQ too. So I said, why don't you guys write us a check and we'll finish this thing, and then we'll have a finished product, and it'll be good, and we'll sell it somewhere.
Excellent.
It will not be accepted into Sundance unless what's my nom de
Jules.
plume?
Jules Dash.
Jules Dash. If Jules Dash's name is on it, it won't be if my name's on it, because that's, I don't know why we're living in that world, but that's where we are.
But every musician and DJ and comedian that everyone in Sundance loves will be in it.
We'll submit it. We'll see what happens. But I guarantee it is not getting into Sundance. So we're working on that. Dawson has a Bobby Hollander mashup he's been working on.
Oh, wow.
I have a thought about, tell us when the guests get here, I guess.
Yeah.
I had this thought. It escaped me, a James Corden thought.
Oh,
All right.
do tell.
I was with a group of folks, Hollywood types.
Oh.
Mostly
People in the know?
People in the know, mostly behind the scenes types. And for some reason, James Corden's name came up. And
Nice guy.
everyone's like, douchebag. and I was like, what?
No,
and
Jenny, you've heard this.
No, I really haven't.
Really?
Someone was like, oh, yeah, you listen.
My nice guy comment was very pointed.
Oh, so this is an Ellen situation.
Aha! I was like sitting there and I was like, douche. And then one of the guys was like, yeah, I had a party and they had a clown hired to the party and he'd done Corden's place, the week before. And he said it was a total douchebag. Now, look, people call me a douchebag all the time. So a little grain of salt.
Takes one to know one.
But it seemed kind of universal amongst this group. I have had no dealings with him.
I've even heard this from...
They're not really, these guys aren't, they're not ladies who lunch.
Right.
They're not really chatty
Yeah, they're not yentas.
guys. They're just like, yeah, he's kind of a douche, And I was like, I had no idea. And then I went, lots of spontaneous breaking into dance in the middle of the intersection. Lots of song and lots of dancing and this crazy, vibrant,
Yes.
jovial,
Over the top,
whatever.
almost
And then I
comical.
was like, oh yeah, Ellen. Ellen dances. He dances. And I thought, I think there's a connection here.
I have to say, I'm a little stunned. I don't know anything about him. I haven't heard anything
Really?
about him. He
Surprised.
looks like a nice guy. He does a lot of Broadway and musical theater.
I think he's a very good actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he is a
On
good
and off
actor.
the stage.
Where'd you get the douchebag?
Just same type of thing. People in the industry. I have friends who do much better than me. They just know people.
Just say
and-
friends.
Yeah, friends. They just know people, and
Wow.
stories get told.
And we're talking
But I start picturing all the spontaneous
Yes.
dance parties on Fairfax, and I was
wearing
like,
costumes
yes, I
and
was like,
messing with people.
oh.
He's more rosy than Ellen, with just
Yes.
a bubbling over cheerfulness that bubbles over from the cup.
And are we also talking about like the same thing, like screaming at the staff type stuff?
I do not
I've
know,
never heard that.
but I just
I gotta
heard
know
douche.
more. I gotta know more.
And I've told people a million times, I act like an asshole because I don't feel like an asshole. I can say whatever I want because I don't feel that way.
Right.
I can tell racist jokes because I'm not a racist. And I think that's a two-way street. I think the people that are that
Little
way inside
overcompensation.
break into dance.
Wow.
You got your mashup, Dawson?
Yeah, the more I dig into this, the more I am convinced that Al Pacino and Bobby Hollander are the same person.
Good.
I found this recently through extensive research. This is a cut scene from the movie Scent of a Woman. Check it out.
This is such a crock of shit.
Please watch your language, Mr. Slade. You are in the Baird School, not a barracks.
I don't mean to say it in an obscene way.
What is your motto here?
Pulling your wang wang.
Well, gentlemen, when the shit hits the fan,
Get out of your bed, off your couch.
some guys run and some guys stay.
And you guys that are watching it in a bar are gonna be into the bathroom in a minute.
Are you finished, Mr. Slade?
No, I'm just getting warmed up.
Whip 5 on yourself. Do it lubricated.
Sir, you're out of order.
Out of order. I show you out of order.
We hope you blow your nuts off on this tape.
If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place.
It's so hot, it's gonna blow your balls off. It's gonna wanna make you wet your pants.
Out of order. Who the hell do you think you're talking to?
My name is Bobby Hollander.
I've been around, you know.
Go out, I hope you have new batteries for your vibrator.
And Harry, Jimmy,
Paul Thomas, Ron Jeremy, Dominique.
Trent, wherever you are out there, fuck you too.
It's no hope, it's no joke.
Stand down, Mr. Slade.
I'm not finished. I'm not a judge or jury, but I can tell you this.
It's strictly adult, strictly X, and it's hot.
And that, my friends, is called integrity.
She's young, she's blonde.
Now that's the stuff leaders should be made of.
She's gorgeous.
Don't destroy it. Protect it.
Reach in and grab it.
Embrace it.
It's going to want to make you come right on your television screen.
It's gonna make you proud one day, I promise you.
Wow.
Wow.
Can you believe they cut that out of the movie?
I mean,
It
out
really
of
brings the scene
context.
together.
That was compelling.
Yeah.
That was good.
And obviously, they were both recorded in very different ways.
Yeah,
Pacino
different
had the
tones.
state of the art of the time,
Right.
and he was talking into a VHS cassette.
Yeah,
But
no lav.
I think if you got rid of that aspect of it, you're right there. I just picture. Thank you, Dawson. I picture you just sitting at home.
Yeah.
Got a beer and a bong between your legs, going to town, and then you get like a phone call from your mom, and she's like, "What's up, son?" And you're like, "Hey, mom, kind of right in the middle of something pretty important here."
Pulling your wang wang.
Yeah, usually smoking a little bit, and then you get up to this good idea, and then mom calls, and you send her the is it a fart game that you just had to create. You go, this is my job.
Yeah.
This is what I get paid
Man,
to do.
you hit it out of the ballpark.
Did that man in the background say throw a 5 on it?
I wonder if Bobby had any kids.
Oh boy.
All right, we'll
The
book them
holiday
later.
That he knew of.
Jon and Pete Najarian are going to both played linebacker in the NFL, but both are tech wizards as well. Market Rebellion is the name of their firm, and we'll talk to them. Oh, wait a minute. I think I got a spot here. I screwed up. Sorry.
Don't cheat the people.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't surprise.
Freshly, that's what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, the pre-cooked meals, frozen, tasteless, the processed stuff, freshly, quality meals without the hard work, designed by nutritionists, cooked by chefs, delivered fresh and ready to eat in just 3 minutes. At the end of a long day, takeout shouldn't be your only option. I'll give you a couple of my favorites because I use these guys. Protein-packed chicken parm is very strong, and the steak peppercorn is delectable. Use the Freshly website or app to find meals that fit your lifestyle, dietary needs, and taste and family size. Choose from over 50 nutritionist-designed entrees. New meals added weekly. Skip the grocery shopping store and the dirty dishes and go with Freshly, right, Dawson?
Stop stressing about dinner. Right now, Freshly is offering our listeners $40 off your first 2 orders when you go to freshly.com/ACS. That's $40 off at freshly.com/ACS.
And these guys, Jon and Pete, they developed an algorithm called Heat Seeker, and they saw unusual activity on it. And United and American Airlines days before 9/11, and they gave it to the FBI. And we'll get into, well, we know how it ended, but we'll get into what happened next. With Jon and Pete Najarian right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam. Tim from Poplar Grove. My business partner just told me that he was going to be late for a meeting tomorrow because he has to take his son to school. He has to take his son to school because his son is forced to ride the bus, and COVID protocols require every other window to be open. Now, it was 4 degrees this morning when I hopped in my car to come to work, so let's do the math on that. Take care, guys.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Kids, focus on the kids. Crate train them. Get those puppies trained. Get them in the fucking crate early, and they'll listen to their master for the rest of their life. Can't crate train these dudes. They're too fucking old.
Don't try.
We are too old.
Do not try.
People have tried.
But the kids, get them early. Get them into the fucking crate and train them up, and they'll be obedient little citizens for the rest of their fucking lives. Don't think I don't know what's going on. Jon and Pete Najarian are here. Jon, I've spoken to before. Pete, well, they're brothers. Obviously, both play in the NFL, so we should talk about that. Also have an educational firm. Market Rebellion provides online courses in stocks, options, crypto, which we talked about with Jon before, as well.
And I've got an NFT for you, by the way.
You do?
Our guys made up an NFT just for you.
That is awesome.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It is our zombie collective made this up.
Wow.
And wait, we've got 3 because
The
there's
angel.
another one. The angel.
Wow.
So far, the crazed robot, the angel,
And there's another angel.
We got a
The
devil
golden
angel.
angel.
I love it.
a righteous gemstones.
Thank you.
We'll get this to you, Adam, because we're really giving you this NFT.
That is fabulous.
Well, let's go to NFT for a second, and I'll have poor Chris look around on the internet. But I like cars. I like looking at the vintage cars and the old race cars and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes I'll go onto the website, Gooding and Company, RM, some of the bigger ones, and they'll go like, here are the results from our last month's auction. And they're doing a lot online now, but so they will sell like, Mario Andretti's steering wheel from 1969 season F1 car. There's some memorabilia, some plaques, and some cups. For the first time, I got to the bottom when I was done with all the cars, and there were NFTs.
You bet.
Like a picture of a car, and it was like $7,500 for this thing that no one can truly explain. But Chris,
But you can prove that it's the
RM.
only one.
Right.
You can prove through the blockchain, you can prove that that is the only one of that. Just like the one I showed you as far as your NFT.
I don't mean any disrespect, but there's only one of my mom and no one gives a shit. I think that's how I would rebut that.
Well,
well said.
but you're a famous dude, got a lot of fans, and so people want to own pieces of incidents like that, of somebody famous, whether it's Odell Beckham, making a touchdown catch in the Super Bowl. They might be willing to buy that, especially if it came with anything else. And in many cases, it does.
Well, where are we look, I just heard the inflation. It always bums me out because we are now at the highest inflation since February of 1982, which is when I was fixing to leave high school, not go to college, and wander around North Hollywood looking for a job. The only difference, and I would argue to the young depressed kids today, I applied at the Taco Bell in North Hollywood, no takers. Like what? So how
now
does
they're begging for guys like you?
But how does this work? In that I had, when I graduated high school, super high inflation and no hiring. Now it's super high inflation and everyone is hiring.
That's true.
Why? How can those two worlds sort of live together?
Well, they sort of live together because of the high inflation. A lot of that inflation is, as you know, supply and demand. In the case of supply, there's not enough. There's not enough workers willing to go back to work. So pushes demand stays high, and that means they can demand more cash, whether it's the ingredients that go into making that taco at Taco Bell or that burrito, or whether it's
Bell beefer at the time, old school,
or whether it's the amount of money they got to pay you per hour to work there. All of that is pushing inflation up, and it's like I say, it really is a supply problem right now, not a demand problem. There's a lot of demand.
The demand's there.
Is part of the supply problem? This is from the mouth of babes because I really don't know any of this stuff. But like my parents, and we've talked about this, over the course of their lifetime, owned 1.5 sofas. Like for their entire life. There's one where they moved, someone died, they got their sofa. I've probably owned 23 sofas over the course of my life. I mean, we're just buying more shit. Like we didn't shop like this. There was Christmas and there was your birthday. You didn't get shit between those
Randomly
two.
just showed up.
Go on to Amazon and just go shopping on a Tuesday.
Well, and I told you when I was 3 years old, I drew all over our white Naugahyde couches. They threw an Afghan over it, and they're still in my house.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Pete's building a house down in Florida. Because he's the rich one.
Yeah.
And so he's building a house
I'm
down
the
there.
rich one.
You can't get most of what he needs for his house. It is out there 3 months, 6 months into the future. I know you know this
more
because
than
you're
that.
a construction guy in your prior life.
Yeah, well, I mean,
as well as mechanic.
I still do shit. I mean, plywood went from $41 a sheet to $102 a sheet. Like it got really expensive. I don't know, all the building supplies, all the everything. And
Yeah,
I'm also
lumber, all that stuff. Yeah.
what about labor? I mean, you need
Brutal.
some skilled labor.
There's nobody out there. We're building a house, and it's unbelievable. Nobody wants to work. I don't know how they survive, but they decide they don't want to work. And you talk about supply chain. I was just talking to one of the guys who was working inside the house, and he was telling me, luckily, we don't need new trusses in the house. You know, for your ceilings, the roof, and the whole.
I know what a truss is.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to go over you, man. No, but he said it's 1 year out.
Wow.
It's 1 year out for those. So if you're building your house right now, my wife, such a wonderful woman, she went out, she bought the refrigerators and all the appliances 9 months ago, knowing that it's going to take over a year to build the house.
You know, I think I've found an answer, which is I know nothing about tech. So whenever these guys screw the pooch, they go, internet's out. I'll go, how come we didn't have, I told you to go look. We got internet. And I go, nah. And I just walk away because I can't challenge
with
them.
the router or the
But
modem.
I am a blue collar guy, and I just found our internet. It's supply chain. So you come in, I screwed the pooch. I didn't order the bar joists or the truss or the paralams or whatever, and I fucked up. And then you go, hey, man, what's going on? Where are these paralams? I go, supply chain. We got an issue. And you go, fuck, and you walk away and go work on the internet. It's a two-way
Probably
street
say
now.
fuck a lot.
So, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Speaking of the labor thing, you guys are financial guys. I want to drill down on this because I don't know anything about this. I only know what I see or read or whatever. Is the narrative that people aren't working because it's more profitable to collect unemployment or whatever, is that accurate? Or because what I see, I see my wife works she's an executive at a big company, and a lot of her like mid-level people are leaving for better jobs. You know what I mean? Like, so it feels like the jobs are like, I don't feel like In-N-Out has the same problem Taco Bell does. You know what I mean? Because they pay a little more and it's a better job. I wonder if they're getting those people. People are scaling up in their careers. But you tell me, what does the data say, or what are you saying?
Well, an awful lot of people, of course, were afraid to go back because, unfortunately, they beat them over the head for 18 months about how they were all going to die. And, you know.
Oh, sure. For jobs you have to go
unless
to.
you're Garcetti and you can say, I held my breath.
Right.
I held my breath when I was next to Magic Johnson. But.
Which is, I argue that's kind of a hate crime.
It's kind of, yeah. I thought it was kind of racist.
Man of color
I
and
held
your
my
breath?
breath when I was next to him. Why'd you hold your breath? Well, he didn't smell so good.
It's unbelievable.
But yeah, I think, Brian, the issue is that in many cases they are taking better jobs. In other cases, they've just found enough gig work that they can work around and say, you know what? I used to spend $200, $400 a month on either a train pass or gasoline to get to and from. I'd lose an hour each way and, blah, blah, blah. And they go, I have a better life. I don't make quite as much money, but I'm making things work. And between that and unemployment and blah, 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 I mean, I think all that plays into it.
It's cobbling together.
Yeah.
I also think that we have done something that's a little dangerous, which is we've undervalued the importance of work, like actual work, like what that brings psychologically to anyone who's out there, a little sense of pride or, a job well done, or all the cliches from the past. And we've sort of done this thing where it's like, you could get $600 a week doing this, or you could get $600 a week staying home. So I'll stay home and break even, but you're not breaking even because you're atrophying. Right. Your mind is getting weak. You're getting weird. You're getting angry. You're getting fat. Like
antisocial.
We need that. And that's what worries me a little about, it's guaranteed income, or what is universal income and stuff like that. Like supplementing something is fine, but when it takes the place of, we're getting into some real dangerous waters here. Lamborghini and RM auctioned NFTs this month. So the two big car auctions are RM auctioned off a Lamborghini, I guess. NFT.
So what they give you is they give you this. They give you a key, which is like it has a QR code on it, and then when you scan it, you see the artwork on your phone, or you can see it on your TV. And so they in the first 4 days of February, they auctioned off 5 of them, and they went up to as high as $204,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Adam, don't sleep on this.
But look, if you're trying to get laid, spend the $200 on a real Gallardo. Because you pull up on that first date in your fucking camera, you go,
you show them the
roll. Check my phone out.
Scan this.
Want to start blowing now, or do you want you after dinner? Oh man, they make like 1,000 of those Gallardos, but there's only 5 of these, baby. Now get in the cloth interior Toyota Camry and let's go off to Spago.
On the other hand, if you can buy that NFT of the Lamborghini and then sell it to somebody else who, because of its rarity or any of these other terms that they use for this stuff, you're able to make 5,000, 10,000. I mean, I was in Switzerland 3 weeks ago. They were doing a big NFT auction, and I was speaking at a crypto conference, so a bunch of us went down to the auction. And granted, it was for charity, but they had NFTs that people were bidding at that time 10 ETH, meaning Ethereum. They're buying for 10 ETH, which was at that time about $35,000. Something that you're just like going, well, it's okay, I guess, but why would you buy this for that? Well, because somebody else will come along and buy it for more.
Yeah,
well,
is that
if
what's
it's
happening
rare
with
enough?
Is that sort of the crypto idea? And then also, if you had a teenage son and you told him you just bought a new Lambo and he ran for the garage, and you're like you were chasing behind him, holding your phone up. Sorry, go ahead,
gonna
Bryan.
run you. Well, okay. 2 thoughts. One, how is the resale market on NFTs? Is there one? Do you have enough data yet? Number 2,
massive.
Is it profitable?
Very.
Okay. The second question is this quite. Feels obvious to me. This is a money laundering scheme.
Well,
not on the blockchain, right?
Yes.
The NFTs?
Every one that's been purchased and the wallet that it went to, whether it's a Meta wallet or whatever, where it went. They could track it, as you saw this week. 2 people stole $3.5
they recovered it.
billion dollars, and U.S. recovered it. So right now, by the way, U.S. government is the largest holder of Bitcoin.
Because they have
those coins until they redistribute them out. But I think
I like the Apple dumpling gangs. Like, we're breaking into Fort Knox. They have the 350 large in there. Sorry. Now start tunneling, boys. Sorry.
When you're seeing these NFTs, I mean, for instance, the first 3 days of the year, there were $750 million worth of NFTs purchased globally.
Okay.
And obviously some of those will become worth 5 times, 10 times, 100 times what they're originally purchased for. And others will be worth nothing. You'll have this terrible squiggly line that somebody drew, because somebody really did buy a squiggly line, digital squiggly line, and they paid that for it. That puts it on track to be the global traditional market for art is about $65 billion. Okay. If we were able to maintain the pace that we're at right now, we'd be at $90 billion this year for NFT art. So in other words, it's screaming past regular art.
Because there's going to be an NFT for the Mona Lisa.
You bet.
Right? I mean,
it
already has. Now, what's this mean for a guy we brought, his name popped up earlier, a guy like Quentin Tarantino? He's got created all this visual product.
Or any songwriting rights.
Yes. Is a guy like that sitting on a virtual gold mine?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, he is. He's sitting on a gold mine, and I wanted to hook you and him up for cars because he has a lot of the cars from all of his movies.
Oh, he does?
And I think maybe with Mike August, I was saying you should get Adam and Quentin together because he has all the famous cars from his movie, Pussy Wagon, and all the other cars, that he's got from Kill Bill. Yeah, all the classics. Probably the one that hit Ving Rhames.
Right.
Bruce Willis.
It's like a Honda Civic.
But he has those. And I said, if you guys got together, you could make millions in the car shows and things like that, whether it's New York Auto Show, LA Auto Show, you pay this much extra to go in and see Adam's and Quentin's cars and things like that. But yeah, you could put any of that stuff on an NFT. You're going to have songs on there. Yep. You're going to have clips from movies and things like that. And you can prove that this is the only one of that because it's all verified on the blockchain and so forth. And so instead of paying hundreds of millions of dollars for a piece of art and then having to insure it for hundreds of thousands of dollars and so forth, you could just have this digital stuff and hope that it gets the same sort of appreciation. Will it? Time will tell. I mean, that's why we're making these zombie, the zombie collective is all about us. We're doing these for ballers, for presidents, for stars of stage and screen and things like that. And it's all going to be zombie NFTs of those folks. So Adam joined there.
Where are we at with crypto and the government? Because I'm hearing a lot of talk that the government's kind of chasing this. So, you know, we had a gold standard, but we don't really have that anymore. I don't know, we're $30 trillion worth of deficit.
Can it be taxed?
Well, there's a taxing part, but there's also the part where the government isn't controlling it. And they want to control things, last I checked.
Yep.
So
you're correct.
That's got to be coming, right?
Yeah, and more or less the people that own the wallet companies, you know, whether it's Ledger or whether it's MetaMask or any of these companies that make wallets and so forth, and certainly all the brokers like Coinbase you're familiar with, even if you've never used it, you've probably heard of them, and they have to report back to the government the net number of dollars in, dollars out if you cashed out. So in other words, you traded out of a Bitcoin. That's why so many people never completely leave the digital. They go from Bitcoin into a stable coin, back into Ethereum, back into a stable coin. They trade back and forth, but they don't take any money out.
It would be like cashing out of your 401k.
Yeah.
They're going to take their chunk.
Walking around with casino chips.
Right.
But the government would want that tax on that, but it is really hard for them to determine what the tax would be if you're not pulling money out of that account. Yeah. And instead you're just trading back and forth.
Is there some parallels to sort of big tech, which is, you know, these guys started Twitter and Facebook and all this stuff, Google and everything else, and the government just sort of watched them for a while or sort of let them go. And then lately they're kind of like, hey, we'd like to kind of get involved, see what you're talking about, maybe have some things we don't want you to talk about and stuff we will let you talk about. Like, they're not going to just sit idly and watch some $1 trillion thing go down and not start to kind of, or grow to the size that it is and will grow to, and not start wetting their beak, right?
Oh, yeah. I would agree. Regulation is coming, but Bryan mentioned decentralized. Decentralized means that no government anywhere, unless you shut down the internet, you can't stop it, because they just go to Malta, they bounce over to Singapore, they go over to 10 different locations around the world where the U.S. government can't touch them.
Like and production tax breaks. You'll go wherever the tax break is greatest.
Right.
You're not loyal to New Mexico.
Yep. Well, so unless Al Gore pulls the plug on that internet, it's safe. Let's talk about Market Rebellion, because I know you guys are trying to help people learn about stocks and options, crypto, and all that. I think you just did, but how does where would people can go to marketrebellion.com, and what will they find there?
They're going to find everything they want to know about the markets itself. They're going to find out about the options world, the derivatives world as it's known, and it's very confusing, but they have to be educated. That's one of the biggest things that Jon and I always want to make sure is that anybody who ever gets into the markets understands exactly what their risks are. And that was a big story over the last year or so, especially when you're talking about all these new traders, new investors into the marketplace. That changed everything. And suddenly we had all these folks, but the problem is they didn't really know exactly how much risk they had at times. And that was part of the whole Robin Hood thing. It was part of all of those different things. And so that's something that we just want to make sure that people, when they're going to get involved in the markets, that they know what they're doing. They're educated from us or anybody else, but they get educated at Market Rebellion. Got great people there. And then Jon and I, of course, have always focused on the options markets. We've been in these. You've been there since 1981. I've been there since 1992, and we just we love the leverage. And if you go back to the financial crisis, we lost all leverage, right? I mean that's what really changed in the markets. Except the options world still existed. And to give you a small example, you go back to 2007, give or take, during the financial, all the different issues going on. And I think what were we averaging per day? Maybe 12 million?
Yep.
Maybe about 12 million a day. Now we average 45 million.
This is option contracts traded per day. So it's tripled since the financial crisis.
And each one of those contracts represents 100 shares of stock. So it gives you a little bit of an idea of just how big it has become and the growth trajectory we've had. Matter of fact, even through the financial crisis, it's amazing because our biggest year ever, and every year has been bigger than the previous. Our biggest year ever, I think, 2019, I think we were about 20 million, and now we're 45 million. Gives you a small idea of just the huge growth. Per day, every single day.
These guys look like the tag team champions of the world, and here they're dropping all this comprehensive knowledge.
You jocks in your stocks.
So last time you were on, I got very interested, very curious, started dabbling, don't know what I'm doing. And I'm fine with that. I'm just trying to learn because you really did make me very curious about all this. So I'm wondering for people who, are interested in, maybe they've done like normal stock, normal day trading, that kind of thing. Is there such thing as a safe cryptocurrency to kind of just to get started, or that's not a thing like it would be in the stock market?
If you're looking for price appreciation, and you don't have to, because you could go from regular fiat money, the stuff in your wallet, to digital and go right into something like a stable coin. It's not going to go up and down in price like USDC. It's just a stable coin. It's always $1. But once you're out of fiat and into that digital currency, you can flip from there into Bitcoin, into Ethereum, into Tron, into Litecoin, into any of the 16,000 digital assets that are out there.
I'm reading here, by the way, that Miramax sued Quentin Tarantino in November over Pulp Fiction.
We talked about that.
NFTs.
Yeah, because they said that's not yours, that's ours.
We even know they're still in business.
Before we say goodbye, let's talk quickly about the whole 9/11 heat seeker algorithm thing. I find that very interesting. I think our audience would.
Well, and Pete and I, we were both on the floor at the time, and 9/11 occurs, and you're seeing the planes fly into the buildings.
You're on
and
the
so
stock
forth.
exchange.
Yep, we're down there on the floor watching it on TV, and then and we're both private pilots. So when we saw the damage that was done to the buildings, we said, well, that wasn't a little plane, because they said at the time, it was some small plane flew into the World Trade Center.
Yeah,
And
there
we're
were
like,
stories
no.
of private planes hitting the Empire State Building and a fog bank and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're in the financial district, so you're not too far away.
You're downtown.
Right. So we see all this playing out, and then we go back and we say, didn't we have a lot of volume on the put side in United Airlines and American Airlines? A put is basically a bet on the downside of the market. In this case, the downside of United or American Airlines. And those are the only puts they bought.
How is that different than shorting? I don't know.
Same
thing, but you got leverage.
Yep.
Okay.
You've got leverage and less risk, because if you own a put, you can only lose what you paid for it. If you short the stock
Whatever
and
you
it does a
traded in,
GameStop and it starts running to $400,
You're out that-
you're losing all that money. So anyway, the unusual activity then showed us that there were a lot of big bets placed just 2 and 3 days before the planes flew into the buildings in only those two stocks, United and American Airlines, betting that those stocks would go down a lot. And of course, they were right. We gave our data over to the FBI. And
foreign money, I'm assuming.
Yep. It came out of, ultimately, it came out of Germany. But that's
Really?
where the terror cells were based prior to coming here and learning how to fly a plane, but not how to land it.
Right.
And Adam, I got one other thing real quick. Just like that, but the financial crisis, Bear Stearns was trading at close to $70 a share. This is pre-financial crisis. That was the first biggie that was going to go down, but it's trading about $70 a share, give or take. The CEO is on TV, he's on CNBC saying everything is fine. Everybody says everything's fine. And I look over at John and I go, that's really kind of weird, because we just had some huge put buying. Again, same sort of a story. they were buying puts at the 30 strike, which means basically they're betting this thing's going to zero.
Right.
And sure enough, it pretty much did.
Who was
And
they?
Yeah, who?
The giant traders that are coming in there who are really smart, and that's why John and I call
And
it
anonymous.
follow
Right.
the smart money, but huge hedge fund types.
Are we
those
talking
types.
Christian Bale from The Big Short? You know, like
Well, he was a hedge fund manager.
right,
in
the
movie.
guys that were seeing things that everyone said, "Oh, you're crazy."
Right, it's like that. Yes, it's a version of that in the derivatives market where you get all the leverage in the world to be able to do it, and then sure enough, we had all the rest of the financials started getting the same type of thing. And it's just amazing how it sort of gives you a little bit of a crystal ball into the future sometimes.
They did that in General Motors before they went bankrupt. Stocks like $30, $35. They're betting that it's going to go below 5 in the next 2 months. And it's like, well, that's a fool's bet. Why would you bet that? But then, of course, they knew more about the balance sheet and how much borrowing they'd have to do, and they didn't have enough cash, and the stock went bankrupt.
I just want to, for a second, make sure that we're not slandering terrorists by comparing them to hedge fund managers. We have a pretty broad audience.
We don't want to have to retract that later.
I don't want to have to walk that back. All right, Jon and Pete Najarian, Market Rebellion is the name of the firm. Website, marketrebellion.com is where you go. Comedian Tom Rhodes is going to join us right after this.
Available now for pre-order, Adam's 6th book. Everything reminds me of something. Advice, answers, but no apologies.
It's insane. I blame everybody but me.
Adam drops knowledge, rants, and laughs, answering actual questions from you, the listener, and some celebrity friends. Follow the link at adamcarolla.com to purchase on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or through IndieBound to find your local independent bookseller. Everything reminds me of something. Coming this summer, wherever finer books are sold.
Tom Rhodes is back on the show. He's got a comedy album called The Honky Motherland and Around the World's available on Spotify and also on vinyl, which he brought in.
Yeah,
Good to see you
Adam.
again, Tom.
How are you, my brother?
Good. You recorded this essentially around the world in 24 different cities?
Yeah, the Around the World album. It starts in Paris and it ends in Jerusalem. I've been doing the international circuits for over 20 years, and you know, it's material that I developed in these cities. You know, I think you, I don't know if you remember from the times I've been on the show before, but I lived in Amsterdam for 5 years. I had my own late night talk show on Dutch television. And I've been doing the international circuits for a long time. So I've developed, you know, through the years playing, you know, 20, 30 times in Paris. You know, I got a little Paris hunk. I got a little Berlin hunk, a London hunk.
I should clarify
So
that
it took me 2 years to record that album.
It's 2 albums, by the way, Around the World album and the Honky Motherland.
Yeah, and then the
Sorry, just
Honky Motherland was recorded in England.
For clarity.
Yeah.
How are you able to travel this much? Do you not have responsibilities stateside?
Before I did not. I was married, and my wife at the time used to travel with me. I put everything into storage, and I did not live anywhere for 10 years. And I would do. I had so much work. I would do like 3 or 4 months a year in Europe, a month in Asia, a month in Australia, and then whatever was left all over the States. I have been on the road since I was 19, and I have not had more than 2 weeks off.
Really?
Until the pandemic. And the pandemic totally changed my world. The pandemic taught me how much I love sleeping in my own bed. and so I don't want to be on the road like I used to. So I just want to focus on L.A. and the West Coast, really.
Well, the road, travel, sleeping in your own bed, quarantine, all that stuff, there is some sort of middle that's a sweet spot because stay home for too long, you start to chew on your own foot. But we all know once you've been out on the road, you get all worn out, on the road. There's some sort of sweet spot of going out, seeing the world, and then coming back and sleeping in your own bed. It's probably different for everybody.
Well, it's kind of different for me because, I hit the road, so hard for so long. And I've done pretty much everything I ever dreamed of. I've been to the Great Wall of China 3 times. I've kissed 4 different women at the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Wow.
I almost drowned in Thailand. I've been to every continent except for Africa and Antarctica. I did a show in the Seychelles Islands, which is technically part of Africa, but I've never performed on the continent. But other than that, I mean, I've seen the world.
What do you like out of all you've seen?
I love Paris. I'm nuts for Paris.
I love Paris too. I feel like we got this weird. Well, actually, there's certain tropes, like you eat Chinese food and you're hungry 20 minutes later. It's like, I over-order when I eat Chinese food.
That's not Chinese. That's carbo loading.
Yes, I go nuts.
Those are your choices.
But the French, you're so rude. Everyone's so rude over there. Like they hate
It's not
Americans.
true. Like you always hear New Yorkers are rude. You go to New York,
Right.
they're like the nicest people in the world. When people tell me they hated Paris, I always say, "Where did you stay?" "Oh, we stayed by the Arc de Triomphe or on the Champs-Elysees." Those are like the touristy areas.
Yeah, you stayed in Times
Square. If you stay in a hotel on Times Square, the people are going to be rude because they're dealing with tourists all the time. There's oh my God, what's this? There's a patisserie in Paris called Storer, and it's on Rue Montaguy. I follow this thing on Instagram. They do a fruit tart. It's worth flying there for the fruit tarts. Like in Singapore, they do this black pepper crab. It's worth going to Singapore just for the black pepper crab.
French with all those fruit tarts running around on their Vespas.
I was originally invited to perform in Paris because they heard that my specialty was talking about the philosopher Balzac.
Oh, really?
Really?
But when I got there, they found out my specialty was talking about my ballsack.
So I'm sure you've heard of, or you probably know Gad Sag.
I know Gad Elmaleh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he did on the Around the World album, the first 2 tracks are in Paris. I've done like club gigs in Paris, and I was trying to go there once a year. There's a great little expat or English-speaking comedy scene there. But Gad was doing a thing for about a year where he was bringing American comedians over once a month to play at this Theater L'Oeuvre, which is a little 350-seat theater, and it had a balcony, and it was sold out, and one of the greatest gigs I've done in my career. It was so wonderful. And it's English-speaking French people plus English-speaking expats there. And that's the first 2 tracks of Around the World are from that gig. But
you were, I know there's a story of you in Florida at 17 seeing Jay Leno's set and not being able to get into the club. And was that, and you can tell that story, but was that sort of when you decided to do stand-up, or were you doing it before that?
No, do you want to hear how I decided to be a comedian?
Yeah.
Because it's a wonderful story. My family is originally from Washington, D.C., and my uncle did open mic night comedy for 1 year when I was 11. My father loved stand-up comedy. Pryor was his dude, and Bob Newhart. We had Newhart and Richard Pryor records in my house. My dad, I remember driving around with my dad. He was listening to a Richard Pryor record, and this is before seatbelts. I'm a little kid, and I'm next to him, and I had my arm around on my dad's shoulders, and I just remember his shoulders shaking while we were listening to this Pryor thing. So stand-up comedy was always highly respected. Just wizards of great power, it seemed like stand-up comedians were. So my uncle did open mic night comedy in Washington, D.C. for a year. My father took me to see him. It was 1978. I'm 11 years old. The club was called L. Brookman's. It was the first place that did comedy in D.C. other than like big name acts. And the stage was next to the entrance, and the show was in progress when we walked in. And I was wearing a Washington Redskins jacket when we walked in. And the comedian on stage grabbed me, and he pulled me on stage, and he interviewed me like I was the coach of the Redskins. And I'm 11. I just gave little kid dopey one-word answers. Yes, no. But that moment changed my life. I'll never forget standing on that stage and seeing all those happy people with their heads thrown back with laughter and all the teeth in their mouth. And, D.C.'s a diverse city. I just remember, like, every flavor of humanity. I know I've romanticized that moment in my life, but from that moment on, I never wanted to do anything else with my life.
Just because I have these 2 words in my head, didn't Bob Newhart do a bit called the Submarine Commander? You can look for that. I think he did, because we just talked to a submarine commander, so it's in my head. But I think there's a famous Bob Newhart bit called the Submarine Commander.
We'll
I've
find
seen
out.
one called the Cruise of the USS Codfish.
That couldn't be it.
Oh, is it a?
It's on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Was it a? Oh, was it a submarine?
I'm not sure. I just saw the title. But
all right. Well, I'll see if you can find that. It might
My
be
favorite
funny.
Newhart bit is when the night watchman at the Empire State Building, the night that King Kong climbs on top of the building.
Oh, really?
And he's got it. You've heard that.
I don't think I have.
It's, oh my God, he's got to call his boss. It's the night watchman at the Empire State Building. And he's,
We'll find that one too, Chris.
when it's a really long bit. I think but it's such a great story. He calls his boss. He's like, hello, sir. Yeah, I know you said never to bother you at home, but yes, sir, it is important. Well, sir, there's a 900-foot gorilla on top of the building. Yes, sir, I did try to get him off. I took a broom to the 43rd floor, and I was jamming him in his toe, but it didn't just seem... the biplane shooting at him didn't seem to have an effect on him either, sir. It was just such a wonderful, inventive bit.
It's so brilliant hearing only one side of the I mean, that's the beauty of that joke,
right.
is the one side of it. The cruise of the USS Codfish.
Were you going to make a commander's connection?
I sometimes just have things bouncing around in my head, but for some reason I thought it was a submarine commander. But
no, he is a submarine commander in it. I think that's why we're watching it right now. It's 8 minutes long.
Oh,
so.
okay. Well, if he's
and that King Kong bit is brilliant, but I think that's like 11 minutes too.
We could listen to the first 3 minutes of it or something. So he is a submarine commander. It's just not what the bit is called.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, volunteer that as fast as you can find it, please.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Well, I see. Here's the thing about memory. I was like, I thought he was a submarine commander, but then I see USS Codfish. And
It says yes. I said yes, confirming that this is on the screen. It says yes, Bob Newhart, the cruise of the USS Codfish. So I'm confirming that is the bit.
That he's a submarine commander.
That's what we're talking about, because I initially said, oh my God.
Oh, it says yes on my screen, Bob Newhart. The cruise of the USS Codfish.
Hey,
it's 8 minutes long.
Yeah,
but that doesn't. That yes didn't confirm it to me.
Oh, well, because the last thing that you asked me was, "Is that the one?" I said, "Let me check." And then I typed yes on the screen.
Well, who's hosting the Ed? Oh, that's him. Sorry, that's Bob Newhart.
Very young Bob Newhart.
Very young Bob Newhart. All right, we'll watch a couple minutes. Innovative, and it probably took a lot of balls to establish that, because you know, when you get up on stage, you feel like the clock's ticking and you want that punchline, you know, that
the pacing is not
that
there's a story about that very first Bob Newhart record. If I remember it correctly, like he recorded 2 shows. I think it may have been at the Ice House in Pasadena. Wow. But wherever it was recorded, he wasn't sure about his career as a stand-up comedian. And the first show completely bombed. He got no laughs at all. And then the second show was the one that became the album that is like a groundbreaking, one of his best records.
Yeah, and you know, once you establish that format, then the audience will ride along with you. But before they know it,
what are we watching?
What are we watching?
Well, like today's pacing, like, you know, they expect... You know, like that's why I really like Nate Bargatze, and like he does that slow storytelling. But most audiences don't have the patience for in a club.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can blame everyone who's looking at their phone while they're looking at TV while they're cooking dinner. Like I think the metronome of attention span has just gone through the fucking roof with
There's
everybody.
a lot of discomfort watching something that takes its time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the attention span used to be 12 seconds, and now it's 9 seconds. And I read that Americans spend 7 hours at least every day looking at a screen of some kind.
They put a clock on the attention span, huh?
Yeah,
I
read that somewhere recently, that it used to be 12 seconds, and now it's 9 seconds, the average attention span.
I know you're good friends with Mitch Hedberg, who's always a perennial favorite of mine. Spent some time with him. I think we're Just for Laughs in Canada. I think maybe they flew me and Jimmy out there. We were hosting some night, and Mitch Hedberg was performing. Got to hang out backstage with him a little bit. But I always loved his comedy, but I never really knew who he was or what kind of guy he was.
You know, one of the sweetest, most gentle, fun human beings you could imagine. He was a lot of fun. And, you know, the guy liked to party.
Yeah.
And I liked to party a lot back then. So we we had. I think we were. I think I was best friends with the guy pretty much from like '98 to 2000, and it felt like Led Zeppelin. We did some gigs together around. We were living in New York City together at the he was living at the Chelsea Hotel in New York. He really had romantic imagery of partying. Why else would you stay at move into the Chelsea Hotel? And I was living at 71 Broadway, which is at the entrance of Wall Street, in the Wall Street area. So it was really close to each other, and we'd play in all the clubs together, and we did road gigs together, like the Houston Laugh Stop, the Atlanta Punchline, the San Francisco Punchline, where we both took less money so we could co-headline together, and we were just having fun, and it was great to meet people and hang out after shows, and just every night was a party. And then in New York, I think some of my favorite memories with the guy was, he and I just with opening our notebooks and like trading off new lines with each other. Like, what do you think of this bit? And what do you think of that bit? So I truly loved the guy. And then, he got deeper into...
got into heroin?
Heroin pretty much changed him, and then he didn't really want to hang out too much with regular people anymore. And, but yeah, I think that was the big turning point in his life was when he got into heroin.
Do you think it's fair to say that he was our generation, quote unquote, Stephen Wright?
I mean, I love Stephen Wright. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I put Hedberg up in my top 5 comedians of all time. Oh,
absolutely. But just the way he thinks, those great one-liners that are so much more than one-liners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bill Hicks is one of my favorite comedians of all time. And I used to try and, do more political stuff. But I've had a big change in the last few years. I don't want to do anything racial. I don't want to do anything political. I just want to make people laugh. And I keep thinking of Mitch, whereas... a lot of, you listen to Bill Hicks's material, and as brilliant as he was, a lot of it's very dated, whereas almost everything Hedberg did is timeless. Mm-hmm. And like every generation seems to discover Hedberg. I meet like my nephew. He's like 23. He's got his girlfriend. He goes, tell her some Mitch Hedberg stories. She's like, he's my favorite. And she's like 22. She just discovered him. Yeah. So all those jokes she's hearing for the first time. Yeah. The thing about Hedberg that always amazed me, like he and I were like partying so hard when we lived in New York. And like he was, like cocaine did nothing for me creatively. And he was still cranking out new material all the time. And I mean, like, when we were, doing coke with those people all last night, when did you have time to come up with a cinnamon flavored incense stick bit? So there was a purity to the guy, and he never read anything. He never read newspapers. He never watched the news. It was almost like he was trying to keep his mind pure. Mm-hmm. So now he's been gone for so long, and the further I get in my life and my career, I get a lot of inspiration still from him.
I mean, has it been 15 years, 13 years?
He died in 2005.
Wow.
17 years.
Wow. I think March 2005.
All right. Let me hit a spot. Hang out with us, Tom, because we're going to do the news in a second. Edmunds. Thanks to Edmunds for sponsoring this show. Car shopping is already confusing and stressful enough in 2022. Finding the right car can be even harder due to inventory shortages. Edmunds goes the extra mile, makes car buying easier with honest reviews, video test drives, online shopping tools, and the latest consumer advice as well. Edmunds buys their cars. They're not given to them, so they can say whatever they want about these cars. They do long-term test drives, and they will tell you how these cars work in the real world over these long, drawn-out test drives. Unbiased research, reviews, industry expertise and over 50 years. Yes, Brian.
I just used Edmunds when looking up I got a new lease, and I'm like, oh, what's new in the new year? Is it worth getting the new model? And they're like, no big changes. I'm like, thank you. Just saved me like $2,000.
Yeah, that's where Edmunds comes in, and you can compare vehicles and dealers and quotes. You figure it all out, your budget, your financing, appraisal, and your trade-ins. Edmunds, right, Dawson?
Car shopping can be overwhelming. Edmunds is here to help. Visit Edmunds.com and click on Edmunds Best Car Ratings. Best Car Rankings to research and compare vehicles. That's EDMUNDS.com. Edmunds, we drive it like it is.
All right, quick break. Tom Rhodes going to hang with us. We'll do the news right after this.
Well, move over, James Corden, because Dr. Phil McGraw and executive producer Carla Pennington deny accusations made by a dozen former and current employees of the Dr. Phil show. Some problems over there. They described to BuzzFeed News a toxic workplace. One of them said, quote, "It's common to be screamed at and berated by Carla Pennington." 7 ex-workers said that they had been encouraged to perpetuate racist stereotypes on screen. Another recalled this is a good one, urging a guest not to take their medication before taping because they wanted sort of an unstable, crazy guest. A lawyer representing Dr. Phil said, "It's a clickbait story. BuzzFeed was offered dozens of current and former staff to talk to, but when BuzzFeed started hearing the truth, which would ruin their salacious narrative, they declined."
It's funny, toxic workplaces, when I was growing up, meant there was toxins in the workplace.
Asbestos.
Now it just means your boss is a
3 Mile
meanie.
Island.
I mean, the thing,
Put the lid on that acid.
yeah, that's how it was. Okay, when you do production, there's a pace, and there's like a kind of a sense of, like I've been on a million construction sites, and if you're just building, you're building. But if there's an element where they go, the homeowner's going to be here in 2 hours and he wants this garage frame, then all of a sudden people start yelling at each other. So
That's true with anything.
Doing a daily show is that. It's like, we got to go live at 2 p.m. and where's the visuals or where's the prompter or where's the whatever. So there's always like an element if you want to work in day in. You don't have to be a douchebag, but anytime you work at the Cinnabon at the airport, it can be pretty chillaxed.
Yeah.
But anytime there's that sort of clock, then you have people speaking short. And when people speak short, they leave out thank you and please and that kind of stuff. And then it creates that. But my thing with everyone is whatever your job is, like you go, I work at this Pizza Hut and it sucks. They only pay $11 an hour. Fucking leave. Your boss is a dick.
Especially
go
now.
somewhere.
We're just talking financial guys. There's jobs.
Don't work for a dickhead.
Well, to be fair, these are ex-employees.
Oh, all right. Well, they
So I
did.
guess they did.
Who didn't plan too well on retirement.
No, we were talking earlier about how apparently, allegedly, James Corden, kind of a handful.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the word on the
Sexually,
street.
but yeah. No, that's the word on the street. I've never done a show, so.
Yeah, I don't like that format where it's 2 people at once on the interview couch.
The panel.
Have you seen his show? Where
No,
he's
I
like
haven't.
interviewing 2 people at once?
Yeah, it has like that sort of English Graham Norton vibe.
Well, it's always weird because I've done 200,000 of those shows, except for not his. But some you get up and leave. The others, like the old Johnny Carson, you scoot over.
Sure.
Then there's this thing of like, I'm sitting here, and sometimes you feel like the conversation is maybe we could use a little help or something.
Well, that was a zinger.
That's my question. Is the interview 2 people like from the project, or is this Johnny Carson style where they slide
like he'll
down?
do here's like the picture. He's got 2 people on the couch. You guys obviously don't. I've only
I don't
seen.
watch the show.
I live in the neighborhood of CBS Television City, so I see his big face on the side of the building every day. I mean, I could walk to work and then gladly replace that guy. But so he'll like do one question for the one person on the left and then another to the person on the right. And so I think they're trying to, like you said, Gina, we're trying to create that English conversation, but it's
Chat
not.
show.
It's just like any American talk show where every question is pre-prepared and then the person has the pre-answer. It's all been pre-produced,
Yeah. It's interesting, different. You know, I obviously I like the show where they don't pre-produce you that much. There's always a little bit, but there's probably less now than there was. They used to really just get it down to every syllable.
Well, at the very least, tell you not to talk about meat.
Yeah, that was Ellen.
Some specificity.
That's when I knew her staff was scared. Yeah, it's interesting every business. I mean, we've all experienced a business. Could be a dry cleaner, could be tuxedo rental, or could be a bakery.
Something involving garments.
Something involved. A place that sells cummerbunds. No, we all had a business where you walked into the business and you went, God, all these people are assholes. Like I've experienced that a few times where there's a temperament.
There seems to be more and more of that.
Yeah, well, it's like defenses in football used to take on personalities. There were the dirty guys, the big hitters, more finesse guys.
Right.
But it takes on a personality. Now,
you know where you'd see that a lot back. I don't go to bars anymore, but bars.
Yeah.
The bartender was salty, or the bartender was a bitch, and the manager was,
I always hated
bouncer
that.
or whatever.
I had friends that were bartenders who said, "Yeah, if I'm rude to people, they'll tip more." So I would never. I stopped drinking 8 years ago, but they would say the thing we hate the most is when people shake money at you. So I don't drink anymore, so I don't go to bars. But when I am in a bar, I love shaking my money with them,
fanning it their way.
Hope. Well, so what happens is the Tonight Show or Jimmy's show or Ellen or Letterman or whatever, they all take on a little bit of a personality, and it's sort of like. The family that's living in the apartment can't smell the apartment, but when you walk in the front door, you go, oh man, someone's a smoker, and these guys cook a lot of bacon, or whatever. It hits hard, So when you do Letterman or you do Leno or you do Kimmel or you do you walk in and you feel the vibe. Now the people that are working there, they're all in the hot tub and acclimated, but you'll go, oh, something's interesting here. It's a two-way street. I've always said Leno, Tonight Show, Jimmy Show, people are in a good mood. They're laughing. They don't feel pressured or whatever. Kind of laid back. I wanted Ellen and felt the pressure hard. And Letterman's the same way. And the way you can tell is the people who talk to you are saying, you're not going to do this, or Dave doesn't like it when you, fill in the blank, or don't talk, Ellen.
A lot of guidelines. A lot of
Ellen's person
soft rules.
Told me not to talk about meat 2 times. It was not part of what I was talking about, but somebody had gone up there and spontaneously broke into talking about ribs, and Ellen, and then someone got yelled at, like this person, after the show. So I was like, there's a sense of fear. I felt fear.
Yeah,
I felt that's what I felt.
My mind's going. There's no way to know for sure, honestly, for sure. But I'm very interested to see how people view this environment.
I was thinking the same thing. What's our vibe?
Yeah, what's our vibe? There's no way to know.
Tom, what's our vibe?
It's a very good vibe, actually. I love your studio. I like where it is in the town. And then I liked, I love Evel Knievel. You got this massive Evel Knievel thing, and you used to have a race car here.
Yeah.
And now, the last time I did it.
Don't talk about the race car.
There's a badass.
This is really bad. This is bad.
It's moved. I probably still have it.
Okay. What year is that Lamborghini?
68.
Oh, my God. What a cool car.
I don't own that. Mark Garagos owns it, the attorney.
Okay. Anyway. So, it's, I feel like I'm, you get... I feel like I'm going to a cool museum.
Okay.
and
we'll
then the show is
impersonal.
Bonus.
It's not about the decor. It's the spirit of the people.
But no, the spirit's great. Yeah.
All right.
Oof.
Yeah. Well, what do you say?
Christ. All right.
And I love meat.
Get out.
People in the UK who send unwanted pictures of their genitalia are going to face prison time. The country had been considering making this act an offense under the online arms bill, which is going through Parliament at the moment. However, the government will instead use the Sexual Offences Act, which is a smaller piece of legislation. The government hopes to enshrine this offense into an existing piece of legislation as soon as possible. And once made illegal, it will carry a punishment of up to 2 years in prison. It also means those who are found guilty of cyber flashing could be added to the sex offenders register. So when you're just on Tinder and you're like, at least in the UK,
I'm so glad I don't know that happens.
you know what Tinder is.
No, I don't know that
They
happens.
could
The
literally
dick
go
pops
to prison. Do you know how many times we've all been sent dick pics that we didn't ask for?
up. Adam, how many times have you sent dick pics?
I've never been sent
a dick pic.
Really?
Dick pic.
No.
Someone sent me a picture of Kevin Smith. Does that count?
It's adjacent. That's 1 year in prison.
Okay. Oh, but yeah, he was wearing a hockey jersey, but
On his dick?
no, but he is a dick.
Okay. Yeah, that's if you didn't ask for it, you take a screenshot. Hey, you want to meet up tonight, and then how
Have you got a lot of dick pics?
not lately, but yeah,
Back in the
yeah,
day, probably.
because that's how they think they're going to lure you into sending a naked pic by sending their dick first.
The strategy, he grabbed my boob in the elevator. Doesn't feel like a great play. You know what I mean? Like I'm showing, you know what I mean? Like showed a picture of his dick, and then because he wanted to get with me, or like I said, he grabbed my titty when he walked past me in the hall. Like, does that ever worked?
Gina?
No.
Yeah, has any woman ever walked by a construction site and went, wow, that guy, the way he yelled at me.
They go,
but
hey,
maybe this will start a new trend in England where people will start sending dick sketches.
Oh, that's a nice workaround. And you know how they used to do it on Grindr, so I've been told.
Oh.
I was told by a dear friend that you measure penises in quarters because you send a picture of your penis tumescent, and then
With
you lay quarters
resting on.
across it so you can really tell, so you have something to compare it to, so people aren't hornswoggled or hoodwinked in their picture.
Honey, here's $1.75.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know how much weight my dick could hold.
That's a good point. It's a load-bearing cock.
You could probably, harness it.
What I would do for my ladies is I would take the amount of paper money that coincided with the amount of quarters my cock could hold, if it could hold its own weight up with the quarters on it. So I'd probably take like a dollar bill and kind of fold it in a little at the end. You know what I mean? Just kind of lay it across.
Yeah. I don't think that's as seductive.
Do you think, but this could also lead to framing cases where like someone took a dick pic of somebody's, I took Tom's dick pic and I sent it to you through Tom's email or whatever. Now Tom's getting sent up the river.
Yeah, but much like your birthmark condom, you could say like, that's his dick, and be like, I don't have any quarters that are 1975 from Delaware.
Oh, you mean if I take a picture of my dick,
Right, yeah.
and then send it through Tom's email? You're right. All
So
right.
maybe there's something to it. Everyone should just keep it in their pants. So yet another performer. We have the latest singer to stop a show because of a problem in the audience. This is like a trend now, and not a bad one at all. John Mayer halted his show Wednesday night at the Hollywood Palladium to make sure a fan who was in distress received attention. In the middle of slow dancing in a burning room, he stopped the song after seeing an audience member.
Oh, that's the song. Look, he was slow dancing in a burning. What the fuck?
Who was on first? Who appeared to have fainted. Here's a short clip of the incident, just because most of it's not talking.
Are they conscious? They're conscious.
All the lights are on.
Where's he at?
Palladium.
Thumbs up if
in Hollywood.
Yeah.
alert.
He was left-handed.
Yeah, he is left-handed.
I would see John Mayer if it was like the blues.
Yeah.
I
the
would
blues
too.
thing.
Well, he's gearing up for a tour, so I think he was shaking the dust off.
Does he have pleated pants?
He sure does.
Bringing him back.
Yep. Very yacht rock.
I guess we were that cool.
Normcore. There they come. Help's coming.
Geez.
So, yeah, a fan was treated, left in a wheelchair. Mayer and his band left the show for a couple of minutes. They came back and told the audience, anyone in the crowd who's worried, I'm told she's up, and waved goodbye. She's okay. The system works. Thank you very much. And he's gearing up for a tour.
Chris had a what?
Oh, I had a ticket to that show. So I was just telling you I had a ticket to that show. It was a free show at the Palladium.
Oh, it was free?
Yeah, you just had to RSVP.
Wow.
In time. But did you hear like Kanye
Yes.
got mad at Billie Eilish for doing that the other night
So
too.
Kanye is demanding an apology on behalf of Travis Scott from Billie Eilish because she said, I stop my shows to make sure everyone's okay. And she's like, what do you want from me? I never said his name.
His demand is I'm not playing Coachella until she apologizes. I get the sense he doesn't really want to show up at Coachella.
Well, yeah, but that was going to be the uncomfortable moment was I'm going to bring Travis Scott to Coachella because she took his place.
Kanye, first off, when he travels with basically the hood the terrorists put on camera crews when they abduct them. Like he literally...
Oh, the shroud?
Yeah, literally whatever they put over a falcon's head so they can,
He's like
in between
Blanket Jackson.
runs. Like he literally travels around. I would argue you're drawing more attention to yourself at the airport when you're traveling with a hood on your head and gloves and everything else. He also...
The Invisible Man.
He had a listening party.
Yeah.
I got all this from TMZ. He had a listening party for his new album.
Donda.
The picture with Madonna and all that?
Yeah, everyone showed up along with a Kim Kardashian impersonator.
Nice.
Which I don't know if you could love that move.
Oh, that's fabulous. Wait, male or female?
Oh, I think the Kardashians I think you got to go female on that.
That's a big boss.
Cher, that's a dude.
Oh.
That's a dude's job.
Okay, I wasn't sure. That's sweet. And his new,
So it's just real quick. In the days of masks in airports and airplanes, sunglasses, hats, this is intentional, right? This is look at me.
Oh,
because you can go incognito with the mask and the whatever.
He's also famous for dressing Kim when they were together. Now he's dressing the new one, Julia Fox, and they look...
He's Scarecrow.
Yeah, they look like extras from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, Brian's right that between the ball cap and the sunglasses didn't get you through the airport if you're an A-lister.
Right.
But with the mask, now no excuses.
There's no excuse.
No, you're right.
All right, let's bring it
that's what I was talking
home,
about.
Gina Grad. Wow.
I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
He grabbed my boob in the elevator.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right. You can go to mcroll.com. We got a bunch of live shows coming up, and most of them are sold out. But
Are you doing the Spokane Comedy Club?
Yeah.
I love that room. And Tacoma, two of my favorites.
Oh, have I played there, Chris? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think we've been there. Well, good. So first show, 3 of the shows are sold out, but there's a couple late for the late show left behind, and then Waukegan, Illinois, Genesee Theater as well. Tom, you can shoot him a tweet and an Instagram at _Tom Rhodes, and the album, The Honky Motherland and Around the World, are out, and go out and listen to them and laugh. And Jon and Pete Najarian as well. Market Rebellion. Until next time, the Sound Crow for Tom Rhodes and Jon and Pete Najarian and Gina Grad and Bull Bryan saying mahala. I don't know that much about Vince McMahon, but it seems like maybe he rubs some people the wrong way. But that's about all I know. But The Rock may love it or get along with him great.
Gave his career.
Or have a feud growing.
I mean, he's a true businessman. If he saw Stephanie Matto was selling jarred farts, he'd be like, that's a business move. That's a strong decision, and I respect it.